All right. Good morning, everybody. Early morning crypto talk. Bitcoin Brandon here. Tuesday morning. Hola, Albert. ¿Cómo está? Good morning, Jeff. Bethany. Anthony. Michael Terry. Terry Moreno. Good morning, Jason. Bonita. Lashana. Carl Davis from the UK. Congratulations. I saw you sign somebody up. Shauna Ross. Happy birthday. Mr. Garla. Mr. Boggs. Mr. King. Bill. Rainy Tuesday. It is. It's rainy here in California too. In LA. Muy bien, gracias. To Alberto. Don't trip. I can't speak Spanish. I'm from California, so I know some basics. That's about it. I understand it more than I can speak it. Alright, exciting times happening, as you see from the title. It's like dichotomous. One group says Bitcoin's exploding. Another group says it's going to go to zero. Well, what is it? Who do you listen to? This is why education is so important. All you can listen to is yourself. You got to trust your own instincts. As a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, share my opinion, and give suggestions, and it is up to you to discover what you want to do with that information as an adult. All right, let's go into some good news today. Well, what do I want to start with here? Let's start with the man sleeping in his car. I had an appointment at 8:30. I told the individual, I have another appointment at 9 o'clock, so you got to call me now. He doesn't call me, and he calls me at 9 o'clock. Sorry. It's crypto talk time. All right, let's go over this one. Man sleeping in his car. This is what you call a true believer. You won't catch me doing anything like this, even though I know as much as I know, because I could be wrong. But then you've got these people that they just go all in. Remember my rules. I have 4 rules that I live by in the crypto space. Rule number 1 is crypto education is important. It's everything. Rule number 2. Never invest money you cannot afford to lose. So this guy is going against everything. Everything that I'm against. He's going for it. He's going all in. Now, if he's right, I mean, it's going to pan off. He's going to benefit big time. But if he's wrong, you know, that's a gamble you take there. I don't believe in gambling. I believe in taking as educated risks. That's just me. Now, you know, if you want to go all out, some of the biggest winners in the world are people who bet it all. You know? So I don't fault them for that. It's just not my style. If I was, you know, if I wasn't married and if I didn't have kids, I probably would have a different strategy, because all I have to worry about is myself. But since I have responsibilities, you know, it's irresponsible for me to make moves like that. But let's see what this guy has to do. Sleeping in his car and working 2 jobs. Man goes all in on crypto. If you had one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, would you capture it or just let it slip? So convinced is one man that cryptocurrency is the future, he's given up his apartment and is living in his car while putting every spare cent towards his crypto portfolio. Now, if you go to my Facebook page and scroll down, the post before this one, I made a post about a guy who tweeted. And in his tweet, first you got to look at the date. May 17th, 2011 at 8:57 a.m. He tweeted, "I wish I had kept my 1700 BTC." He had 1700 Bitcoins at 6 cents. 6 cents. And then he goes on to say, instead of selling them at 30 cents, now that they're $8. So I want to do some quick math here. And the calculator is my friend. So if he had 1700 BTC, I don't know. Well, he bought it at 6 cents, right? 1700 BTC. So let's multiply that. Point times 0.06 cents. That's $102 worth. All right? He had $102 worth of Bitcoin. But he sold it when it hit 30 cents. Which meant he made $400. Okay? That ain't bad. He made $400. But he's crying because now they're $8. So if he had those same 1700 coins at $8, he would have made about $13,000. Now you got to think, he doesn't know the future. This is 2011. He made $400 on his investment. Had he waited until it hit $8 a coin, he would have made $13,000. Well, let's say he didn't sell it at $8. And let's fast forward to the price of Bitcoin today, which is $8,200. And I'm not liking the whole market's red. I want that sucker to get back up to 9,000. But let's say he decides to hold it for 7 more years. And like just for, I mean, it's only a couple $100. Why not? So 1,700 coins times $8,200. Oh my gosh. That's nearly $13.9 million. 13 million. So since we know this, if we could transport ourselves back in time, 2010, 2011, even 2012, knowing what we know now, how many of you would sell your house, sell your car, put everything into crypto back then, and then willing to sit on it for 7 years? Or you knew it went almost up to 20,000 in December 2017, and you sell it in December. How many of you would do that? I would. My wife might have left me, but I would. I would have sold everything. But hindsight is everything, right? So this guy, dang, you had 1,700 Bitcoin. This guy believes, he's a true believer, that Bitcoin, or in his case, altcoins, is going to be everything in the future. And you know what? Because people, well, Brandon, don't you believe the same thing? Here's what I believe. I believe that cryptocurrency and the blockchain is the future. What I cannot predict is exactly which coins or which version of that, of what we see now, will be here in the future. If you look at the internet, 1991-92, the most popular things at that time are not here today, but the internet's still here. You understand what I'm saying? The technology and stuff is still here. Ain't nobody doing AOL dial-up. Barely are people using Yahoo. They're using Google. Nobody's on MySpace. They're using Facebook. So I don't know what version of the blockchain or crypto is going to take over the world in the future. I just know that it is. I do believe that Bitcoin will survive. I don't believe Bitcoin will be the world's one standard currency for day-to-day transactions. I believe Bitcoin is going to act like gold in that sense. That is only going to be a store of value, because nobody's going to want to sell their Bitcoin when it's worth $100,000 a coin. Are you crazy? It might go to $1 million. And who knows how long that may take? It may take 10 years for it to go to $1 million a coin, which means people aren't going to sell it unless you're a day trader and you're playing the market. I believe it's going to be like gold. I think there's going to be another coin that will be that day-to-day transaction coin that the world is going to use, whether it's already in existence right now or it hasn't been invented yet. People think it might be Bitcoin Cash. Who knows? So no, I'm not selling everything and putting it in to crypto. But I am fully engaged in this space. I don't take risks I cannot afford to lose. I am positioned. I don't buy Bitcoin, I earn Bitcoin. This space allows me to work from home, not have a 9-to-5 job, but allow me to buy a brand new car, soon a brand new house. I live off of it. But I'm very, you can say, I am still skeptical, healthy skepticism. But I believe in the future and the market of where this is going. But I got way off tangent here, so let's go back to what this guy's doing. So last year, as Bitcoin mania escalated, stories began to surface of men mortgaging their homes and going all in on crypto. But it's not just homeowners that have given up everything in the pursuit of crypto glory. One man has forsaken his apartment in favor of living out of his car. It's a life choice that even the most ardent of Bitcoin maximalists would deem excessive. But then crypto has a tendency to attract extremists possessed with a fervent zeal. The Canadian man, posting under the handle "living in my car," shared his sleeping arrangements on 4chan's business message board, where crypto traders assembled to post and share portfolios. Some commenters were supportive of his cause, while others were less sympathetic. One writing, "How effing retarded are you, brainlet, when you think that crypto will make you rich? Money was made and you missed the train." I don't agree with that. Ain't nobody missed a train. Good luck waking up with 30 and being broke. Original poster, who started the thread, remains undaunted, however, explaining how he balks at paying $800 a month in rent because that money belongs in my crypto stack. He must not have a girlfriend. Living in a garage, working in a warehouse. The man explains that he parks his car in his friend's garage to sleep. Wait a minute. The friend can't give you the couch, bruh? I mean, really? He's your boy, and you're parking and sleeping in his garage? Can I at least get the couch where it's cold, where it's warm inside? I'm not letting no dude sleep in my garage. Anyways, the man explains that he parks his car in his friend's garage to sleep, for which he pays $40 per month. Despite the cramped conditions, he hasn't forgone all home comforts, finding space to squeeze in a memory foam mattress and a comfy quilts. He's also able to shower at a friend's house and store some items there. As for his crypto portfolio, The unnamed Canadian is currently pinning his hopes on what? Colosusk, Fund Request, Policy Pal, and Dero? Wait a minute. You doing all this, and those are the coins you're putting your money in? Unless you got some insider knowledge that I don't, I don't know. Let me not pass judgment. It's one thing that you're going all in into crypto, but then where are you going all in on it? Where? What the heck are these coins? I know Policy Pal. What the heck? Let's continue. During the day, the man works as a forklift driver in a warehouse, and in the evenings he delivers food. His own meals come in the form of takeaway, but he claims to try to eat healthy. Some biz posters who had cheered the guy in their original thread, in which he first proposed his car living scheme, have since withdrawn their support after seeing the coins he's coveting. Yep, I wonder if they got pictures of him sleeping in his car. I wonder if this is just a grab for attention. This can't be real. You did all that and these are the coins you are investing in? The guy's portfolio reportedly stands at $6,000 Canadian. $6,000? Well, let me not pass judgment again. I mean, he was paying $800 a month rent. So he's got saved up, he's got $6,000 in his portfolio. Okay. But he professes to be adding an additional $2,500 a month. Let me do the math, man. $2,500 a month. Hold up. You know, in a year, that's $30,000. So you're going to live in your car for a year for $30,000, and the coins you're putting it in is Colosusk, Fund Request, Policy Pal, and Dero. Here's my unlicensed advice. Take that $6,000 and trade it. Or hire somebody to do the trading for you, or get a trading bot or something. Flip that $6,000 into $30,000. Take $15,000 of that and get you a nice place to live. If you're only paying $800 a month for rent, take the other $15,000. You can still keep your 2 jobs and trade it. Flip that $15,000 now into $80,000. See, when I learned how to trade, and it didn't take long, I turned $30 into $600 in less than 3 months. I turned $100 into... Ooh, let me shut up. I pay my taxes. I'm not going to share how much money I've been making. But it's enough. Well, I don't have to live out of my car. And I did it with $100. So this guy, there's 3 main ways you can make money. Well, maybe 4. I'll say 3 plus an asterisk. Buying and holding, mining, or trading. The other's ICOs, investments, but I don't want to count that one because you really need to know what you're doing if you were going to get involved in that. I know a guy, or I read his story. He turned 2 dimes into, oh, how much was it? 800,000 in like in 9 months. 2 dimes. If you know what you're doing. So obviously this guy's way of making money off of this is by buying and holding it and waiting for the coin's value to rise. Man. And these are the coins you choose. So let me continue. While commenters were divided on whether the OP will make it in his quest to become crypto rich, I doubt it. It was widely agreed that he'll have a memorable tale to tell years from now. You know, if whatever girlfriend he gets in the future, she should really look at what he did and question his decision making. Because if this is what he was willing to do now, what is he willing to do in the future? Think about that. Hold on, this guy that missed his appointment is blowing me up here. Let me let him know. Doing a Facebook Live right now. Then I've got another appointment, so he's going to have to wait. Can't miss appointment with me. All right. Let's go on to the next article. Here's the dichotomy. We've got one expert. Oh, wait a minute. A new article just popped up. Debunking $5 trillion Vanguard's illogical arguments of Bitcoin price going to zero. Oh, great. Okay. There's going to be three articles I'm going to read now. The first is the bulls. Bears beware. Bitcoin price will reach record highs this year. Former JP Morgan trader. So let me put this in the chat box. Ooh, I'm looking forward to these next three articles. Love learning something new, and I love debate. You got one guy saying it's going to go to zero, then you got somebody countering what he said. Ooh, okay. All right, first this one. The Bitcoin price entered another bearish trend this week after failing to pierce $10,000 earlier in the month. The flagship cryptocurrency now sits more than 58% below the all-time high it set in December. That may be true, but it is still how much ahead of where it was 1 year ago? We haven't lost. The flagship crypto, let's see. One former JP Morgan trader remains confident that it will trade above $20,000 before the year is out. Danny Masters, who now serves as chairman of investment firm CoinShares, told CNBC that despite last year's parabolic run-up, the cryptocurrency is still largely bereft of the tools that institutional investors need to operate effectively in the nascent markets. And I agree with that. We are still at the beginning. This is like the internet 1991-92. The foundation is still being laid. So you can't judge, oh, I think it's going to fail when it hasn't, the foundation's not even there yet for mass adoption. It says we need to see this structure continue to build, Masters said of the cryptocurrency industry, adding that we need indices and we need performance measures where we can actually start to understand what we're talking about and measure our performance. That's been a common refrain from investment professionals who operate in institutional circles, and it wasn't Masters' only complaint. We need to do more mature work around the ICOs, I agree, so that post-ICO we have a token life cycle, he continued, and just give investors more clarity, better expectations, and more transparency. I agree with that as well. We're not even at the part yet where I'd say institutional investors even started in commodities. That is very true. The big boys have not put their money in this yet. Because these things, indexation, custody, and so on, aren't there to bring in those big people just yet. However, the industry, which to date has largely been comprised of retail investors, is gradually building out its institutional infrastructure. As CCM reported, retail brokerage giant Coinbase this week unveiled a robust line of institutional products ranging from trading tools to custodial services. Meanwhile, Japanese holding company Nomura partnered with cryptocurrency wallet manufacturer Ledger to launch a cryptocurrency consortium that will develop products and services for institutions. Other mainstream firms are preparing to dip their toes into the ecosystem as well. Goldman Sachs will offer its clients a type of Bitcoin futures product, while Intercontinental Exchange, the owner of the New York Stock Exchange, is holding serious discussions about opening a Bitcoin exchange. These developments, Masters predicted, will propel the Bitcoin price to a new all-time high in 2018. Okay, hold up one second. I'm going to criticize that for a moment. It is true. The big boys have not been here yet. But does that necessarily mean that the price is going to go up when they do? Because we saw what happened in December when the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the CBOE brought on their futures. Immediately, those big boys bet down on Bitcoin, and they're the reason why the whole market dropped in a market correction, because they forced it down. Why would they force it down? One, they shake the leaves, meaning shaking out all the people who don't belong, who got in because of the hype, who don't understand what's going on, to freak out and sell their Bitcoins. And they bought the dip. They forced it artificially down to buy up and hoard more of the coins. And they've kept it down. Just look at the buy and sell orders, or the buy walls and the sell walls. The industry is ripe for market manipulation, and the big boys who have the volume know how to manipulate the market. So they are making sure that it rises when they want it to. And when it hits a certain price, like you just can't see it get above 9,200, then they sell. They made a nice hefty profit, sell, let the sucker drop all the way back down to 7,800, 8,000. Then they start buying again. Buying it low. Let it get back up to 92, 9,300 because the rest of us are getting excited and start buying more. Then they sell again. They've been doing this for 4 months. So I'm not convinced that if the other big boys, the Goldman Sachs and New York Stock Exchange, if they get in, yes, they're going to bring more volume to the table. But are they going to be forcing and keeping the market down? And what we don't know is when they decide to let the sucker rise all the way back up to 20K and more. We don't know that. See, in Bitcoin's 9-year history, the futures market is only 4 or 5 months old. So there are no historical projections on this. We can project based on history without the CME. But with the CME and the other futures and the stock exchange, all we know is that a whole lot of more money is about to pile into the system. In which direction? We don't know. So beware of people making predictions on this. But I do believe it is going to go up. It's just a matter of when. All right. Now let's hear one argument and a counter argument. Vanguard economist says it's a decent probability Bitcoin price goes to zero. What are you talking about? That's just asinine. But why would he say so? So let's take a look at this. An economist at one of the world's largest asset managers believes there is a decent probability that the Bitcoin price will eventually crash to zero. Joe Davis, the chief economist for $5.1 trillion asset manager. Okay, stop right there. This guy is the chief economist overlooking $5.1 trillion. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. The entire cryptocurrency market as of right now is 372 billion. That's a drop in the bucket for what this guy sees. So, it's safe to assume, yeah, we should pay attention to what he says. Now let's check to see if he's actually correct. He wrote that although the firm is enthusiastic about blockchain technology in general, here we go again, he's part of that group that says, I love the blockchain, but I don't like Bitcoin, all right? So you already know where he's coming from. The Warren Buffetts, the bankers, Bill Gates, these guys that heavily invested in the status quo. They don't like something that they cannot control because Bitcoin is decentralized, but they at the same time cannot ignore the technology that it's built on top of. And if they can, they're trying to separate it. So he falls into that camp. So here's what he says. I'm enthusiastic about the blockchain technology that makes Bitcoin possible. In fact, Vanguard is using such technology. As for Bitcoin, the currency, I see a decent probability that its price goes to zero. Okay. I agreed with everything you said until that last sentence. So why do you say that? Davis argued that Bitcoin should not be classified as money because although it could qualify as a unit of account and medium of exchange, it is not an effective store of value. Wrong. If he had said it should not qualify as money, rather it should qualify as a store of value, I would agree with him. Because I believe Bitcoin is ultimately going to end up like gold. Nobody is walking into a grocery store buying groceries with gold. People invest in gold for the value, to store their money, especially when the economy is taking a dive. You don't want to lose all your value of your money. You don't keep it in the banks. You invest it. Real estate, precious commodities, precious metals, gold, silver, because that value stays the same roughly. And I think Bitcoin is going to be the same way. So what's he talking about? Moreover, he said that its current valuation is based purely on speculation rather than economic fundamentals. Again, that's kind of false. And these guys fail to understand one thing. You cannot eliminate humans, people, from your economic fundamentals. George Bush said it when the market crashed in 2008. He said, the only reason that our economy is going to stay afloat is people's confidence in the US dollar. And if we lose that confidence, the whole system collapses. So why is that different in Bitcoin? If people have confidence in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency, doesn't matter what you think the economic fundamentals of it are, it's going to survive. It's going to thrive. That's what the people want. They believe in it. And the economists don't seem to have that in their equations. You can't put a math symbol on how people feel. And then ignore that that's exactly why the fiat system is still working. Because people believe in the dollar. Because that's all they know. And then ignore history that before 1860s in the United States, people were able to mint their own coin and compete with the federal government's coin. Only ones not allowed to do so was the states. Because in the 1860s, they changed the law. Said it was illegal for you to do that. Know your history. Let me continue here. I can get off on tangents. He wrote, the investment case for cryptocurrencies is weak. Unlike stocks and bonds, currencies generate no cash flows such as interest payments or dividends that can explain their prices. So in other words, it's not being controlled. That's what he's saying. We don't control it. National currencies derive their prices from the underlying economic activity of the countries that issue them. Cryptocurrency prices, on the other hand, are generally not based on economic fundamentals. Yes, it was purposely designed that way because your economic principles and fundamentals caused the collapse of 2008, which caused the greatest economic recession in American history since the Great Depression. And we lost faith in your system. You're describing the reason why cryptocurrency is here in the first place. It's like they don't get it. When the collapse happened, who was bailed out? Were the people bailed out? I mean, when you lost your jobs, 401k, your savings, your homes, were you bailed out or was the companies bailed out? The banks too big to fail. None of them went to jail and they caused it. So they can't relate to why people want crypto in the first place. Let me continue. Now, let me shut up because there's going to be another article. Let me listen to the other article that refutes this guy. But let me finish this one. To date, their prices have depended more on speculation about their eventual adoption and use. Yeah. And what's wrong with that? Isn't that what happens when somebody, I don't know, when J.P. Morgan wanted to invest in electricity? And what did his father say? Don't put our family name behind this speculative event. Only invest in sure things that we know we can touch, taste, and feel that has a history. That's the Warren Buffett approach. J.P. Morgan said, nah, I know what electricity is going to do. It's going to change the world. That's speculative. When somebody invented the airplane and they got investors, that's speculative. The railroad. Well, why am I going to, or the car, why am I going to get on that? I'll just use a horse. I'm going to get this machine with 4 wheels. That's speculative. Don't be afraid just because they have a title behind them to challenge them. Because 9 times out of 10, they know exactly what this is really all about. And they never say anything publicly without a reason because they know it's going to impact their finances. It's going to impact their stock. It's going to impact their company, their shares. They're very careful with what they say publicly. There's always a goal behind it, an agenda. So this guy has an agenda. Either two things. He knows exactly what's going on and is purposely misleading everybody, or he's plain ignorant and doesn't even understand what this is. I do not think he's ignorant. You don't manage $5.1 trillion by luck, by ignorance. I think guys like this understand this better than I do. And he's purposely misleading right now when he's saying these statements. So let me continue. He says, as innovation quickens and competition increases, the majority of networks and their associated cryptocurrencies may be rendered obsolete, leaving many cryptocurrencies like tulip bulbs in the 17th. They always want to go back to that. Tulip bulbs in the 17th century Holland, soaring to incredible heights before the speculative bubble pops. He said, parroting a common but dubious analogy. Unlike any tulips, they don't look very nice in a vase. Okay, stop right there. This has been going on for 9 years. How many times, and every time there's been a market correction, these guys say, we told you it popped, we told you the market crashed. When has a bubble ever popped and then reinflated itself? When has that happened? This has continued to happen. Bitcoin was at 0.008 since 2009, $8,200 today. What are you talking about? Now, he is true in one thing, that most of the cryptocurrencies out there will die. I say about 80% of them. That's not 100% of them. Just like in the dot-com era, 80 to 90% of those dot-com companies all went out of business or never even launched. But then you had companies like Amazon that came out of that produced the richest man in the world. So just because of that doesn't mean the entire industry is going to go down, or Bitcoin specifically. Davis isn't the first Vanguard executive to disparage Bitcoin as an investment and cryptocurrencies as an asset class. Last year, Vanguard Group founder John Bogle advised investors to avoid Bitcoin like the plague, since it has no underlying rate of return. When it gets back to $100, we'll talk, he said. Yeah, you keep waiting on that one. Because you know what people like me do? We see the price go down. Oh, we're buying. I'm not going to wait till it goes to $100 to start buying. I'm going to buy that sucker at $5,000, $6,000 because I know that's going to go back up to $20,000 and more. Other asset managers, however, are beginning to warm to the nascent cryptocurrency industry. Goldman Sachs is preparing to launch a Bitcoin trading platform, and even JP Morgan, whose CEO Jamie Dimon has long been one of Bitcoin's most outspoken opponents, and he's a hypocrite, may soon help its clients invest in cryptocurrency. All right, now let's read the counter article to this, and I'll be able to tell if these counter arguments are correct or bogus. So let me copy this. This is why crypto education is so important, people. You can read articles and you can be able to tell BS from the real thing if they know what they're talking about. All right. Debunking $5 trillion Vanguard's illogical argument of Bitcoin price going to zero. I agree with that. It was illogical. Following the footsteps of Tim Buckley, the CEO of Vanguard, an investment firm that oversees $5.1 trillion in assets, the company's chief economist, Joe Davis, stated that he sees the price of Bitcoin dropping to zero in the long term. Here's argument number one: no viable use case. The core argument Davis offered on his ETF.com opinion piece to support his theory that the price of Bitcoin drops to zero in the long term is the lack of a viable use case of Bitcoin. Davis resorted to the conventional blockchain, not Bitcoin argument, claiming that the most dominant cryptocurrency has no use case. I'm enthusiastic about the blockchain technology that makes Bitcoin possible. In fact, Vanguard is using such technology. As for Bitcoin, the currency, I see a decent probability that its price goes to zero, said Davis. Bitcoin has many use cases. Zappo, the Swiss-based cryptocurrency wallet and vault service provider, stores more than $10 billion worth of Bitcoin in its cold wallets managed offline in safe Swiss vaults. It's like a seed vault they got. According to Bloomberg, more customers have stored Bitcoin in Zappo's vault than 5,670 banks in the U.S. The primary use case of Bitcoin, due to its fungibility, transportability, security, and decentralized nature, is an efficient store of value. Didn't I say that in the last article? It is a store of value. It protects and stores wealth better than traditional assets and stores of value such as gold. That is true. Hence, the claim of Davis that Bitcoin does not have a use case is evidently invalid, given that it is already being used as a store of value and has been used as a digital currency since its launch in 2009. So not only is it a store of value today, it's been a store of value for 9 years. Where's this dude been? Okay. All right, so far I like this article. Argument number 2. No cash flows and no fundamental value. Major cryptocurrencies and blockchain protocols like Ethereum are worth many billions of dollars. However, Davis claims that unlike stocks and bonds, blockchain protocols do not issue interest payments or dividends for investors, and as such, their value cannot be justified. He added that the underlying economic activity of countries can justify traditional assets like fiat currency. Davis said, and I quote, "The investment case for cryptocurrency is weak." All right, we read this one, but let me read it again. Unlike stocks and bonds, currencies generate no cash flows, such as interest payments or dividends, that can explain their prices. National currencies derive their prices from the underlying economic activity of the countries that issue them. Cryptocurrency prices, on the other hand, are generally not based on economic fundamentals. To date, their prices have depended more on speculation about their eventual adoption and use. Okay, so somebody who's not educated on crypto will read that and be like, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's continue. The basis of the argument of Davis uses an assumption. He assumes that every economy and government around the world can remain strong and solid. We've seen that's not the case. But such an assumption is simply not realistic. Venezuela is a prime example of an economy that has turned into turmoil due to government corruption. Oh, what about Greece? Gosh, what happened in Greece? Or what's going to happen in the United States when the next economic collapse happens? And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. What happens when the American people run on the banks to pull their money out? Do you already know there's about $2 trillion of cash, US dollars in circulation. There's $11 trillion in people's bank accounts. So if everybody tried to pull their money out, there's not enough cash to go around. So the banks will lock their doors. There'll be a run on the bank. Then just when you're going to see the introduction of the Fed coin. That's a whole other topic. How the government's going to bail it out and save the day and force everybody to go on to crypto anyway, but it's going to be their crypto. If you want your money, if you want access to it, you got to have the Fed coin, because that is going to give you access to your money in the bank. That's another topic. But it's happened before. It can happen again. So he's assuming that every government, oh, it's okay. Yeah, say that to Zimbabwe. Say that to Nigeria, Greece, Venezuela. You have ultimate faith in the government, Mr. Davis? When the national currency of a country falls, there exists no other alternative except decentralized financial networks and autonomous systems. Again, if the United States finances collapses and you have put your money in Bitcoin, You saved your money because one Bitcoin in America is worth one Bitcoin in Japan. Japan's economy is strong. South Korea's economy is strong. China's economy, all the rest of the world didn't collapse. It's like gold is still valued there. That's why when the economy goes bad, all of a sudden you see the rich buying up more gold. So when the national currency of a country falls, there exists no other alternative except decentralized financial networks and autonomous systems. As the Venezuelan bolivar, the country's national currency, lost all of its value because of hyperinflation. Think about that. This guy's ignoring the US dollar is worth like 5% of what it was 100 years ago. Even the US dollar is not worth the same. Oh, that's all he did? That's all, man. I thought this article was going to be longer. I mean, I can keep going on this. Argument 1, argument 2, argument 3. I can debunk this all day long. Anyways, that's it for the article. That's it for Crypto Talk. I hope you guys learned something new. I did, as I do every time. That's the point. I will be back tonight, and I can tell you exactly what time. At 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be back for Late Night Crypto Talk because I'm doing a presentation at 9 p.m. for Cryptogenics. I mean, guys, if you have not been paying attention, number one, crypto education is the key. And our company is going to introduce cryptocurrency to the world. But even more important than that right now, they are paying out a sick amount of money right now. We're 6 weeks into our launch. Well, pre-launch still. 6 weeks. Sick amount of money. I've never seen anything like this before in a legal company. I've never seen this before in a legal company. Oh yeah, we made sick amount of money in companies that were illegal. But they are throwing money on the table right now. Who wants it? They doubled our commissions. Who wants it? So tonight, if you want to learn about crypto education, I'm also going to talk about mining because we're now a wholesaler for Green, the mining rigs, and I will talk about how we had a cryptonary fork and they doubled our money. Tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on kgxglobal.info. Let me put that in the chat box. Carl, you want that ringtone? That's from the Black Panther soundtrack. www.kgxglobal.info. And people blowing me up, so I got meetings I got to get to. I still have to record the mining presentation. I haven't done that yet. I've been, I've got too many distractions, so as soon as I get some quiet time, I'll make that happen. And I'll do it before the presentation tonight. So with that said, I hope you guys have a great day. See you tonight. Let's make some money, everybody. Let's make some Bitcoin. God bless. Bye-bye.
Cryptogenics.